Hey guys, welcome back. I know it's been a while. You guys are thinking, Biggs, you've abandoned us. We haven't done any updates. Today we're going to update you, and then we're going to get started on a project. So let's get into it. Alright guys, well, you can see some of the maintenance hasn't been taken care of. It's summertime, there's so much work outside with the farm, but everything's running, everything's doing fine. No change with those two bottom bivs. There's all this stuff in front of it. We'll get to that in a minute. You know, some changes on some of the critters and the keepers and stuff that's up here. We've got some new animals that have come in. Over here, over there, you know, it's a little bit out of control. Now, that one that's in there behind that Zoom Ed heat pad, and the one that's in that 12-foot, that 12 by 12 by 24 there, you guys will probably have already seen that video. And that is what's sparking the change we're going to talk about next. Okay? So those are the two Amazon tree bows. There's one in there, be right in the corner by the heat. And there's the other one out there. Okay? But it's this tank here that to me is causing the problem, and I don't like it. And that one's okay, but it could use some little changes. And I don't like having the things in those little Rubbermaids like that. That was kind of what it was intended for at the beginning, because those guys are for a project that's bigger and better down the road. Tarantulas are all doing good. Oh, where are you? She's up there at the corner there. You can see her back there. She ate a big juicy superworm yesterday. The Panama Blonde, still almost never ever see her, but you can see she's been out. You can see some netting, some webbing up top there. The big Trapepii, she was out earlier, but I startled her, so she went and darted away. And then the beautiful Bomai, she's right there, out front and center, and she got fed today as well. So, getting back to what we're going to be doing. Obviously, that doesn't go there, but in the laundry room, that's what's happening. That's one of the things that's changed. So finally, we got the water tank moved. It's my water reservoir. The pumping, the manifold for the pumping, the little fittings and stuff like that, I've got a very, very slow leak in my quick connect coupler, and I'm going to have to adapt and figure out something to do with that. But that's a 180-gallon reservoir for water. I'm going to figure out, I'm going to modify and change all that stuff up top there eventually, because my water changer, it's going to be used again. And the RO unit is still here, and that's fine. I may move it and clean it up a little bit. I may move it to make it a bit more accessible by moving it over here on the wall up here. Just make it nice and clean, but those are little projects that'll happen down the road. Obviously, there's a whole bunch of crap in the way here that doesn't have a spot yet, but I need this space. This space is for something else, and this space is going to help me with stuff like that. Look at that disaster up there. This currently is one of the spots where I'm staging little cuttings for different things going down the road for different vivarium builds. That's not acceptable at all, in any shape or form, in my opinion. So we have a little greenhouse thing that's going to be going in this space here. So I just want to clean up that area first, and then we'll get that all staged. The space for the other 260-gallon tank, you can see the tanks there. I've got all sorts of styrofoam. I've got almost all the materials. I believe actually I have all the materials to do it. You wouldn't believe it, but right now, things like finding normal silicone has become a challenge. Not only just silicone, but all the different accoutrements and materials and stuff to be able to do some of the builds. Sometimes you'll go to a hardware store, a home hardware store. You'll go 2 or 3 times before you find the things that you need. I was able to get my shelves mounted. They're mounted. They're going to stay there, but they need a little bit of modification, a little bit of change. One thing I did differently is I actually made the shelves a little bit longer. I'll clean up the end and paint the end to match and everything like that. But I needed them to be a little bit longer because of the way they hang from the ceiling right now with that little concrete bulkhead. That concrete bulkhead, that little thing that comes out and indents in, that's a 4-inch concrete perimeter that rims the entire basement of my house because my upstairs floor is actually concrete as well. Look at the cool orchid that's in bloom. That's a Lair purpurata. It's a Brazilian orchid. Some of these plants are just growing like absolute weeds. Everything's doing well. So all these things all have a place, all have a purpose. Now the next step is going to be, I'm going to have to get this tank out of the way. And I think, you know, hey Biggs, maybe you shouldn't use the stand that you intend to put in the tank on as just a junk display spot. Well, I don't have a spot for the 20 long, and those have some very special fish in it yet, so I'm not certain what I'm going to do there. But I do have to get this 160 up on that stand relatively soon, so I can get started on that background, which you guys have been waiting on for a while. As you can see out here in the family room where all the other stuff is all just staged, I got all sorts of styrofoam and everything like that ready for the build. So So, going to get that all cleaned up, get all some stuff. All this mess is because that stainless steel rack where the water tank is now, that was all in that spot. So that all had everything, just had to pour out quickly to be able to get that done. As I mentioned, it's summertime, spring, summer, fall. There's always so much work to do outside with the farm. So little projects like this, I do them when I can. Now, the next step is, once I get this out of the way, is there's a thing that's coming up, and we're going to talk about the build. Is what's in that tank you guys already know about. That's the hatchling, captive bred, tokay geckos, the little ones. I don't like it in there. One, I never ever see them. Now, that's not uncommon for babies. Babies are very, very seclusive. They only come out at night. They are a nocturnal species by nature anyways. But they are all down inside that area there. All of them. And they're all small ones, as you guys have seen. But what I want to do is I've got to change some stuff. You guys know that I'm not happy with the way the beast has been working. No, that's not true. There's certain aspects about the beast vivarium that work very, very well, and there's certain aspects that don't. So I'm going to make a lot of changes to that. Now, originally we talked about putting that little smaller one, the 2-foot beast, was going to go here. That's where the plans have started to change. What you're staring at right now are all these brand new bins. You haven't even seen those yet. Those are new bids. That's going to be in a separate video. We're going to talk about those. That's really, really important and really, really cool. But they fit really, really well there. I could fit 16 of them there. So this is going to change. The spot where that was going to change has changed now because it's going to have that. I don't know if I've shown you guys this already, but here's some of the new shelving that we've got in place. This is going to continue down in a way that'll house all the small spiderlings and slings and different things like that. And we'll use up that entire space because it's theoretically it's a dead space behind a door. And I want the room to really be a true lounge or lair. I want it to be nice and clean and everything well organized in this room. So we're not going to have things like bags of media on the floor. Now, this tank here is pretty much ready to go. This is the one that we've got to modify the things on the back wall. This is going to be on the plant wall. This is the 120-gallon planted tank. Now, because I want to build a vivarium for those tokays, I've got this space right here. Now, this tank is going to move exactly a foot away from the wall. So that's 3 feet. And this spot here is 59¼ inches. So 60 inches is about here. And that's exactly what I need to be able to put that 2-foot vivarium here. And that 2-foot vivarium comes out 18 inches, and I've easily got that space here. So that spot's going to come out 18 inches. So you got to picture a nice rack going from floor, not quite to ceiling. It's going to be, I believe it was 84 inches tall. So about kind of halfway through that little arowana decoration there. Just so you know, I just don't wing it every single time. It is all drawn out. I have 90 inches clearance that goes from floor to that concrete bulkhead. Okay, and we look at that up there, up to that bulkhead. And again, I should correct myself. It's not an arowana. It's actually an arapaima. It's an indigenous art from the Peruvian Amazon. But that basically that vivarium is 24 inches by 18 by 36 tall. It's not going to have like the other vivariums. It's not going to have all these legs that go right up over the top. I don't want to do that, but I'm going to build a canopy that'll match that one. So you'll see the sides of the vivarium. And then it'll have kind of a canopy that'll rest on top, and then the vivarium, and then the stand will actually be the width of exactly the dimensions of the tank above it. And on below it, you see 8 by 8 by 12. Well, that's those little smaller vivariums that I've used for some of the different tarantulas and stuff, and that's one of them there, right behind there. So I got 4 of those. Are going to fit nicely, 2 by 2. On that stand. And the one thing that's really cool about this stand, because it's not going to have anything like aquariums or anything, there's not going to be a ton of weight, is I'm going to put it on some heavy duty casters so I can roll it away from that wall, because I'm going to want to have to access that area, because in that area there is where the 2 big canister filters go that are going to be running that tank. There's going to be one to run the tank, and then there's going to be one that's going to bring water from the tank and put it through the overflow boxes with the plants for the hydroponic growth, and then it's going to go back into the tank. So that's all coming together really, really well. We've got that all drawn out. I got to get those guys changed, because those Amazon tree bows, I want to put one here, and I want to put one here. And I want to clean and modify those environments for them. But right now it's been a bit challenging working with them, keeping the humidity up, giving them the right heat and everything like that. Works great when they're small and you put them in little Sterilites, but they just look ugly in the racks. And one of them worked, the other one didn't. The plastic was all warped, so it was just very frustrating. But one way or another, we're going to get it done. I just love how slick and easy these shelves went up. Finally, I get access to some of the books that I've been trying to get to for a while. These are 2 guys you don't even know about yet. They've been sitting there for a while. So it's all coming together. I got to do lots of little patches up on the walls and stuff once everything's all said and done, figure out where everything's going to be, you know. But otherwise, I'm kind of happy that stuff is starting to come together. Next step is I'm going to have to take all this stuff down. I'm going to kind of running ragged as to where we're going to start putting all the different posters and trinkets and awards and whatnot. But eventually, it'll all have a place. So that's the little mini update for today. Lots of stuff is happening. I know I didn't really show you a hell of a lot. I kind of gave you a lot of ideas of what's changing and stuff, but there is stuff that's happening, there's stuff that's changing, and it's all for the good. Sometimes things take a little bit longer. They got to percolate around in my nog for a little while before they kind of come through. As you can tell, I've modified and changed what was going to happen there, and I've modified and changed what's going to happen there. That one I'm excited about. The only issue I have now is I haven't figured out what I'm going to do with this giant space below here, which was originally intended for all the isopod environments, and that still may be a portion of it, but something else is going to happen too. Not really sure yet. And then